In Jacksonville, Florida, on Thursday, two men who had spent more than 40 years in prison for a crime they did not commit were set free and had their convictions vacated. So Hubert Myers and Clifford Williams Jr. were convicted in 1976 of the murder of Jeanette Williams and the attempted murder of Nina Marshall. Both had professed their innocence at the time and had never wavered. They were aided by the Innocence Project, who appealed to the state attorney's office's conviction integrity unit, which that unit investigates cases for possible instances where people are imprisoned wrongly. So it's a good unit. It's a good purpose, and I'm glad they helped out here. Again, it did take over 40 years. So some particulars about this. So the real killer, who his name is Nathaniel Lawson. Apparently, he had told people that he had done it years after Myers and Williams Jr. were imprisoned. So he was never charged, and he has since died. So he was not, he was never charged. I don't know the exact year that this, revelation was made. But like I said, he was never charged for it. So another matter is the evidence, or I really could say the lack of evidence. So Nina Marshall, who was Jeanette Williams' roommate at the time, she claimed that Myers and Williams Jr., Myers and Williams Jr. are related. I believe Williams Jr. is the uncle of Myers. So Nina Marshall said that they both came into her home, came into the bedroom, and shot at both of them, her and Jeanette Williams. So she identified both of them, and an investigation found that the shots had actually came from outside of the apartment. Her story is that they both came into the apartment, came into the bedroom, and shot at her and her roommate. The investigation found that the shots came from outside of the apartment. Not only that, like I said, Myers and Williams Jr., they always professed their innocence. They said that they were down the street at a party. Multiple witnesses verified that fact, but they never testified at the trial. That information never was introduced at the trial. They were never called to testify at the trial. The jury never got to hear any of this information. And after one trial in which there was a mistrial, the second trial, they were convicted. So this is Williams Jr., and this was just earlier today on Thursday. And this is after the judge, ruled to set them free and vacate their conviction. So, of course, his head down, he's feeling the emotion. About 42 years. They were in jail for about 42, in prison for about 42 years. Always professed their innocence. This is an instance where this is tremendous news. This is great news that they are actually going to be free.
I feel a big
there's a
butt.
Huge butt.
I feel a big Sir Mix-a-Lot butt coming.
They were in prison for 42 damn years off of something that they didn't even do. There wasn't even any good evidence that suggested that they did do it. The evidence that was presented by the person that was there and identified them, the evidence didn't back up her claim.
So a conviction mattered more than the evidence. Getting a conviction mattered more than someone's life.
Two people's lives.
2 people's lives.
42 years of their lives.
I'm wondering if anything's going to happen to the people that participated in this prosecutorial misconduct. The investigators, the police, the prosecutors, the judges. Is anything going to happen to them?
You know the answer to that. The answer is absolutely not.
That's why kind of serious checks and balances need to be applied to them too, and not just police officers. Because we talk about police officers are recreating their bad habits and recreating their habits of abuse because they're not held accountable. Well, the same thing applies to prosecutors and judges too. Like, if they're not held accountable for things like this, you know what I'm saying? Everybody involved in this should get 40 years. Everyone involved in this should
they have to forfeit that time from their lives.
They have to forfeit that same amount of time. The
you
same time they took away from these 2 men.
Exactly. Man, I don't know how many times we've talked about prosecutorial misconduct, but this is, I mean, is there a more clear case of that? There were witnesses that saw these two somewhere else at the time of the murder. They weren't even called to testify. That information was not even introduced at trial. The jury never got to hear that. If that's not prosecutorial misconduct, I don't know what other definition that you would have for it.
Okay, so it's not like it was a mistake. It was intentional. It's not like they were like, oh, we see evidence and we were led this way, and it just happened to be incorrect evidence. Yeah. It happened to be that we just looked the wrong way based on actual evidence, and we just got the wrong people by mistake. If that's the case, maybe. But even that wouldn't be a good argument because you're supposed to be good at your job. You're not supposed to do that, especially seeing as you're going to be sending people away for a long time. But I'll just give them a mulligan if that was the actual case. But that's not what happened here. They intentionally suppressed evidence. So they knew they were going after the wrong people, and they still kind of voluntarily did this. So this is not just egregious. This is just as sadistic as the cop that tried to feed a homeless man a shit sandwich. Because that's just as sadistic. Because
they did not care about the value of these two men's lives. They didn't care about it. They didn't care if they... because actually one of them, who I guess... I believe it was Williams Jr. The other one, Myers, his nephew, he was sentenced to life originally. Williams Jr. was sentenced to death at first, and then that was converted into a life sentence.
So they was about to kill somebody.
Oh, yes, they was ready to kill him.
And there was going to be prosecutors that were involved in this, judges and police officers who were going to stand by and watch a man die.
All because they wanted to...
have another notch on their belt.
Another win.
Another conviction.
My percentage is going up. My conviction rate.
Keeping the city safe.